Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a long one, so I'm going to cut to the chase here. I managed to black out the 48 prompt bingo board for the Beat the Backlist reading challenge for 2023, and in this video I'm going to go through each book that I read with the briefest summary, the prompt it fulfilled, my rating, and just a few words about how I felt about it. That's a lot of books, a lot to get through, so let's get started. For giving an author a second chance, I read Street Freaks by Terry Brooks, a futuristic sci-fi about a boy who's being chased by authorities and has to seek help from a group of misfits called Street Freaks. 1 star, flat characters, wooden dialogue, cringy, and just bad. For an author writing under a pseudonym, I read Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher, whose real name is Ursula Vernon. This is a dark fairy tale about a princess who goes on a quest to find a way to kill the abusive prince who married her sisters. 5 stars, funny, creepy, and immersive. A fairy/folktale you haven't heard of before, I read The Seventh Bride by T. Kingfisher. A young woman is whisked away to the home of a powerful sorcerer and has to complete a series of magical tasks or become bound to him and his house. This is based on the French fairy tale called Bluebeard, which I'd never heard of before. 4 stars, whimsical with horror elements, plot-driven, has a cute animal companion. Nonfiction, just for fun, I read The Power of Myth. This is the transcript of an interview between the scholar Joseph Campbell and journalist Bill Moyers about the role that myth plays in modern society. 2 stars, boring, rambling, and verbose. A 2022 debut novel, I read All That's Left in the World by Eric J. Brown, a post-apocalyptic romance following 2 boys traveling along the east coast of the US. 3 stars, cute, but a little too low octane for my taste. Less than 170 pages, I read Bound by Mark Lawrence. This is a novella from his series called The Book of the Ancestor that takes place between the 2nd and 3rd book and follows several of the main characters trying to solve a murder mystery, basically. 4 stars, short and sweet, action-packed. Featuring travel, time optional, I read The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell, a historical fantasy following a girl who travels back in time to 1900s New York to try and save magic while getting involved in a gang war. 2 stars, boring, didn't care about the stakes or the plot. Letter Z in the title, I read Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia, a contemporary fiction about a terminally online teenager, Eliza, who is the creator of a very popular webcomic. It's about fandom and friendship and struggling with offline life. 5 stars, personally relatable, a love letter to fandom and creative introverts. Bought and forgot it, I read The Sisters Grimm by Mena van Praag, a contemporary fantasy about these girls discovering their elemental powers and preparing for a face-off against their demon father, who hopes to turn them to darkness. 3 stars, dark vibes, interesting characters, but too many storylines dragged the pacing. Here There Be Monsters, I read Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. This was a slow burn, science-y horror following an expedition to the Mariana Trench in search of killer mermaids. 4 stars, fascinating the same way that Project Hail Mary was. A diverse cast and really cool, creepy mermaids. Protagonist has a pet. I read The Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrews, a YA dark academia about a deaf college student who works with another student from her past, uncovering secrets of dark supernatural forces. And she has a pet cat. 2 stars, had a toxic couple I didn't like, contrived, and not really what the blurb promised. Protagonist's name starts with M. I read Dark Dawn by J. Kristoff. This is the third and final book in the Nevernight Chronicle, an Italian-inspired fantasy following Mia Corvair, seeking revenge against those who destroyed her family. 5 stars, incredible, emotional, epic, and bittersweet. Lost or Found in the title, I read Paradise Lost by John Milton. This is an epic poem from the 1600s telling the story of the fall of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, as well as the fall of Satan from heaven and his rebellion against God. 3 stars, very challenging with archaic prose, interesting at times. Cozy read or cover, I read Magic, Lies, and Deadly Pies by Misha Pop. This is a cozy mystery about a girl named Daisy who has the ability to influence and even kill people using magically infused pies. 5 stars, surprisingly nuanced, great character dynamics, and entertaining. It's a trope, your favorite. I read Dark Rise by C.S. Packet. This takes place in an alternate London in the 1800s where a boy named Will has to team up with heroes of the light to prevent the rise of the previously defeated Dark King. I really enjoyed the trope of a defeated evil rising again, which this had. 5 stars, love the setting, has characters with internal conflicts, and a wild ending. About dragons or robots, I read All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This is a sci-fi novella featuring the self-named murder bot as he and his human charges find their lives in danger while on a scientific mission. 4 stars, plot-driven, Murderbot is charming, and it's short and sweet. Takes place primarily in winter or a cold region. I read Holy Sister by Mark Lawrence. This is the third and final book in the Book of the Ancestor fantasy series about an orphan named Nona Gray, who is trained from childhood to be a deadly killer. It takes place on the icy planet of Abeth. I gave this 3 stars. Plot was all over the place. Didn't love how the various characters were handled or how the series ended. Set on a continent you don't live on, House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. This is a contemporary horror fantasy that takes place in England about a girl named Iris and her 2 sisters who are all a little bit strange and otherworldly, and she has to investigate the disappearance of one of her sisters. 4 stars, interesting sister dynamic, creepy and dark atmosphere. Meant to read it last year, Moon Called by Patricia Briggs, a contemporary adult fantasy about a mechanic named Mercy Thompson who can shapeshift into a coyote and who gets involved in dangerous local werewolf business. 4 stars, better than I expected, great world building, very minimal present-day romance. Released at least 23 years ago, Luck in the Shadows by Lynn Flewelling, a classic high fantasy with a mix of political intrigue and action, following a young man named Alec who is broken out of jail by his fellow cellmate Sarah Gill, who takes him under his wing and trains him in the art of subterfuge. And this came out in 1996. I gave this 5 stars. Surprisingly funny, fantastic characters, just felt like a classic high fantasy. Point of view character is under 18, Fate of Flames by Sarah Raleigh, a contemporary fantasy following a group of girls with powers called the Effigies who protect the world from creatures called phantoms. The POV character is a high schooler named Maya who unexpectedly becomes the new effigy of fire. 2 stars, useless main character, nothing gets resolved. This was disappointing. A standalone, The Poison Season by Mara Rutherford. This is about a girl named Lilo who lives on an island protected by an acid lake in a very secluded magical community, and she decides to protect this stranger she finds in the forest, which puts both of them at risk. 4 stars, cute romance, cult vibes, intense, for having very few action scenes. Picked out by a friend with no context, The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. This is a very uniquely written fantasy telling the story of these two men who travel for 5 days with a powerful god in tow, with the goal of ending the rule of terror of the Moon Throne. 4 stars, unique, lyrical writing, great world building, and great villains. First in a trilogy, Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nyan. This is a Malaysian-inspired fantasy about a girl named Lei who is forced to serve as one of the concubines of the Demon King and falls in love with one of her fellow paper girls while uncovering hidden secrets. 2 stars, colorful but lacking world building, boring and uneventful plot with an impotent main character. All the Romance, A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. This is about a plus-size porn star who accidentally gets cast in the leading role of a family-friendly rom-com alongside an ex-boy band singer trying to revive his career, and they have to keep their attraction to each other under wraps. 4 out of 5 stars, easy read, cute and steamy romance, entertaining. Name in the title, Crier's War by Nina Varela. This takes place in a world where humans have been subjugated by the Automai, who are artificial beings, and a human servant named Ayla is determined to get revenge for her family's death by killing Lady Crier, the daughter of the Automai sovereign, but feelings start to grow between them. 2 stars, annoying main characters, the plot was whatever, wish it had been done better. Spooky vibes, House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. This follows a girl named Annalay who is trying to find out the true cause of her sister's recent death and starts to experience supernatural things in her family's manor, as well as these mysterious midnight balls that enchant her other sisters. 5 stars, my brand of horror. I enjoyed the romance, gothic, and moody vibes. Multiple Points of View, Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. This is a fantasy with parallels to Harry Potter about a clumsy chosen one named Simon and his nemesis roommate Baz, who is also a vampire, who ends up hunting this dangerous creature. They both have POVs, as well as a couple other side characters have POVs. 2 stars, annoying characters and contrived relationships. Didn't enjoy how the satire was done. Your favorite genre, Critical Role, Vox Machina, Kith and Kin by Marika Nykamp. This is a fantasy based on the half-elf siblings Vax and Vex, who are characters from a popular Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and the twins wind up on opposite ends of a local conflict where there are many lives on the line. 4 stars, loved the audiobook performance. Great sibling banter, a little slow, but I love the world and characters of Critical Role, so I enjoyed it. A character is Lost Royalty, Tokyo Ever After by Emiko Jean. This is about a Japanese-American girl named Izumi who finds out that she is actually the Princess of Japan, and it follows her traveling to Japan and learning about the other side of her family as she starts to fall for her handsome bodyguard. 4 stars, cute romance, charming setting, casual plot and pacing. This School Isn't What It Seems, Ninth House by Lee Bardugo. This follows a girl named Alex who is recruited by a secret society at Yale University dedicated to ensuring that the other secret societies at Yale who are involved in the supernatural and magic are following certain rules, and she investigates a murder. 4 stars, rough start but really amps up, has a dark tone. Wish one of the characters was more present in the book than he was. Won an award, Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. This is a post-apocalyptic novel about a traveling performing arts troupe and life after a world-changing pandemic kills off most of humanity, and this won the Arthur C. Clarke Award in 2015. 3 stars, slice of life and low stakes, melancholy, Not very exciting. Graphic novel outside your favorite genre, Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice Oseman. This is a super adorable romance about two British boys falling in love. Contemporary romance with no fantasy element whatsoever is definitely not a genre I usually go for, but it was 5 stars, adorable as hell, so cute and touching, amazing. Let's Play Sports Ball, Blaze Wrath Games by Amparo Ortiz. This is about a girl named Lana who is given the opportunity to represent Puerto Rico in the Blaze Wrath World Cup, which is in danger of being canceled amidst a conspiracy involving a dragon cursed into human form. And Blaze Wrath is a sport involving riding dragons. 3 stars. Harry Potter-esque, on the young side of YA, very busy plot, but entertaining overall. No romance, Feral Creatures by Kira Jane Buxton. This is the sequel to Hollow Kingdom, which is a post-apocalyptic novel that takes place in Seattle as humanity is being turned into zombies and is told from the perspective of animals. The main character is a sassy American crow named Shit Turd, or ST for short. 5 stars, full of corny jokes and puns, creepy zombies, surprisingly touching and beautifully written. Recommended by a bookseller, The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. This is a horror novel following this small group of people who stay in this haunted house for the purpose of studying paranormal activity, and it starts to affect one of them in particular. 2 stars, nonsensical dialogue, not very scary, no substance to the characters. 5-word title, Not Your Average Hot Guy by Gwenda Bond. This is a paranormal rom-com about a girl named Callie who gets pulled into a situation where a cult summons the son of the devil and she has to work with him to stop the apocalypse. 4 stars. Funny, ridiculous circumstances, great comedic tension between the love interests. Set on or involving a train, Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. This is a murder mystery where a man is killed while the Orient Express is stopped on the tracks due to snowy weather, and Detective Hercule Poirot has to identify the killer who is still on the train. 4 stars, surprisingly funny, cleanly presented with a delightful ending. More than 450 pages, Blood Marked by Tracy Dion. This is the sequel to Legendborn, which is about Brianna Matthews, who joins a secret society called the Order of the Round Table that protects humanity from shadowborn demons and is also somehow involved in her mother's death. 5 stars. This is unapologetic, has amazing world building and characters. I enjoyed the love triangle, very intense. Plants on the Cover, A Blade So Black by L.L. McKinney. This follows a girl named Alice who has to balance real life and high school while also fighting nightmares that come from the world of Wonderland. There are roses on the cover. This was a 3-star. Alice felt impotent. It had colorful characters, but overall was a very basic story. All the Nature Vibes, Horrid by Katrina Leno. This is a mystery horror about a girl named Jane who moves with her mom into her mom's childhood home, and it's clear that the town knows something about the sketchy history of the house that Jane doesn't. Roses are a recurring motif in the story. 5 stars, has one of the best opening lines, sad and creepy, slow build up to an ominous ending. All About Music or the Arts, A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy I. Lin. A girl named Ning enters a competition to prove her prowess as a master of the magical art of tea making in order to save her sister who drank poisoned tea. 2 stars, had an interesting but underutilized magic system, and most of it was honestly boring and forgettable. That heist plot though, Shorefall by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the 2nd book in the Founders Trilogy fantasy series, which follows a thief named Sancha and her exploits targeting the merchant houses that rule the city and use a magic that can manipulate inanimate objects with inscribed commands. The first half of this book is a cool giant heist. 4 stars, fascinating magic system, great characters and dynamics, anti-capitalist. Character is keeping a big secret. The Alchemists of Loom by Elise Kova. This is a fantasy series where a woman named Ari and a man named Savare begrudgingly work together towards the goal of overthrowing the Dragon King that rules both of their societies. Ari is hiding plenty of things about who and what she is. 3 stars. Didn't care about the budding romance, but the steampunk setting and fantasy races are interesting, more so than any individual characters were. Family drama or court intrigue, The Candle and the Flame by Nafisa Azad. This is about a girl named Fatima who undergoes a transformation and gets pulled into the royal court and politics of the Maharaja and the magical jinn who protect the city. There's also some complicated feelings that develop between her and her sister. 2 stars. Nothing much happens. The romance was forced, but the setting is colorful. Horses. That's the prompt. The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater. These 2 young people, Puck and Sean, each have different motivations for entering this dangerous race where people ride mythical water horses along the island's beach. 5 stars, beautifully written, evocative, very human characters. Point of view character is an adult, so 18 or older. The Lighthouse Witches by C.J. Cook. This story flashes back and forth between a woman named Liv and her 3 daughters, and also one of the daughters, Luna, as an adult. The locals warn Liv about the dangers of shape-shifting wildlings, and Luna's long-lost sister returns years later but is the same age as when she disappeared. 3 stars. Chaotic and confusing timelines, cool setting, but very slow. Main cover color is your least favorite color, My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. The cover is gray, which if I had to pick would be my least favorite color. And Vanessa was sexually abused and manipulated by her much older teacher when she was a young girl. And this book follows the progression of their relationship over years and years, and also Vanessa as an adult wrestling with the reality that she was in fact abused. 5 stars, impactful, disgusting, well written, and overall just incredible. And there were also 4 bonus categories. I only completed one of them, which was set in or inspired by the 1700s or 1800s. I read the historical fantasy Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. This takes place in Regency era England. Dora is missing half of her soul because of a fairy and struggles to navigate high society while partnering with the prickly Lord Sorcier to find a way to break her curse and solve a mystery. 5 stars. Love the setting, love the charming and funny characters and relationships, and love the type of fae that it has. So those are the 49 books that I read for this challenge. I had a lot of fun with this, but it did restrict what I read this year a little bit. I do plan to do this year's Beat the Backlist challenge as well, but I'll be using the shorter 24 prompt version instead versus this, which is like 49 prompts. I'm really surprised that I managed to do it, and I do attribute it to my having to take off a bunch of time in December and forgetting that I had to take time. So I got a lot of reading done in December that I wasn't expecting. So I didn't expect to actually be able to black out the prompts, but I did. It was a lot of fun. I'm really proud of myself, and thank you very much for sticking around if you stuck around to the very end. This is probably going to be a really long video. I did my absolute best to really condense down as much as I could to give you the briefest summary. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next year, or this year since it's January, and I hope that you guys had a good reading year, and I hope that your reading continues to be good or get better this year. So I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!